One of the things that economists are concerned with is finding out how consumers make decisions about spending their money on particular goods and services. In the course of their research, economists have come up with a way to figure out the consumer optimum level of consumption. This short tutorial will show you how to go about calculating that consumer optimum. The consumer's optimal level of consumption is a point where the individual maximizes his utility for all goods that are subject to the constraint of their income. This will occur where the marginal utility of every good that the person consumes is divided by the price of each good. In this case, our general formula is going to be the marginal utility of good A divided by price A must be equal to the marginal utility of good B divided by the price of good B, which was equal to the marginal utility of good C divided by the price of good C, all the way, or for all the goods that the consumer consumes. The procedure to analyze the consumer optimum problem, at least from a textbook standpoint, is as follows. 1. Calculate the marginal utility for the first good. Divide the marginal utility of the first good by the price of the first good. Calculate the marginal utility for the second good. Divide the marginal utility of the second good by the price of the second good. You may need to repeat this for several goods, or if the data is presented in a table for two goods, you'll need to find the marginal utility for various levels of consumption and divide them by the price of the good. Let's take a look at an example of how this might be done. Suppose that you like both pizza and DVDs and you want to consume as much as possible of both. Let us suppose further that you earn $26 a week and decide to spend it all on pizza or DVDs. The prices for our two goods are a DVD costs $5, a slice of pizza costs $3. So what is your optimal mix of DVDs and slices of pizza? The first step is to go through and calculate the marginal utility of the DVDs. So starting out, we would first calculate the marginal utility. So we're going to calculate the marginal utility for the first good, and we're only going to do a couple of these for an example. So the first thing we need to do is remember that our formula for the marginal utility is the total utility at one level of consumption minus total utility at a second level of consumption divided by the two consumption levels. So, okay. So we're going to assign C1 to 0, T1 to 0 for the first row. C2 will be the consumption of one DVD, which gives us a total of 50, and that will be our second total utility. Next step is to substitute in 0 for C2 or C1 in the formula. Total utility 1 will be 0 in the formula. We will substitute in 1 for C2 in the formula, and TU2 will have 50 in the formula. Next step is to subtract 0 from 50, which leaves us with 50. Our second step is to divide or subtract 1 or 0 from 1, leaving 1. Next step is to divide 50 by 1, which means that this person has a marginal utility when they go from the consumption of 0 DVDs to 1 DVD of 50. We would repeat this process for the next item, or the next level of consumption. So once again, our consumption will be, for our first level consumption is going to be 1 DVD with a total utility of 50. Our second level of consumption is 2 with a total utility of 95. Next, we'll substitute in for C1 1, for TU1 50, for C2 2, and for TU2 95. Next, we're going to subtract 50 from 95, leaving 45, and we will subtract 1 from 2, leaving 1 for our difference in consumption. The marginal utility of going from the consumption of 1 DVD to 2 DVDs is 45. The next step is to go through and divide the marginal utility of the first good by the price of the first good. Once again, our first row will have NA because we don't have a marginal utility to work with, and our formula is the marginal utility divided by the price of the good. Remember, the price of the good, the DVD, is $5. So we're going to substitute in $5 for the price of the DVD. Next step, substitute in 50, the marginal utility of the consumption of 1 DVD. And we're going to divide 50 by 5, which gives us 10. Once again, the price of our good continues to be $5. So the next thing we're going to do is substitute in for the marginal utility. So 45 will be substituted in for the marginal utility. We will divide that by 5. 45 divided by 5 is 9. Take a minute and see if you can fill in the rest of the table. You might want to pause the video while you do this and then continue on after you've finished filling in the chart. This is what our chart looks like after you have filled in the missing pieces of data. Now let's look at pizza. Once again, we're going to look at the first couple slices of pizza that the person consumes, and then we'll leave the remaining parts of the table for you to fill out. But let's look at this in some detail first. This is what our chart looks like for pizza. Notice that we've gone through and calculated. Once again, going from 1 to 0 gives us a marginal utility of 5. Going from 1 slice of pizza gives us 22 additional units of utility. Going from 2 to 3 gives us 18. And going from 3 to 4 gives us 5. And going from 4 to 5 gives us 9. We also went through and divided the marginal utility at each level by the price, which was $3. So 25 divided by 3 is $8.33. 22 divided by 3 is 7.33. 18 divided by 3 is 6. 15 divided by 3 is 5. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. Now we're going to look and compare the two columns where we've divided the marginal utility by the price. I've labeled these MU divided by $sign. So we're going to look, and we should notice that at some point the marginal utility divided by price is equal in both columns. In this case, this happens when 4 DVDs are consumed and 2 pieces of pizza are consumed. Also, you could go through and notice that this would actually also cover if you multiply the number of DVDs times the price of the product, you would notice that this would also equal $26. So we have fully consumed our $26 and there's nothing left over.